If you're about to start a new painting, it's worth spending some time thinking about what kind of canvas you should choose to paint it on. And that requires thinking about what you'd like to do with the painting once it's finished. How would you like to display it? Certain canvas options are going to lend themselves better than others to different framing or display options. So if you know your choices and you know those frame options, that will help you make an informed decision from the very beginning. The first style of canvas I'd like to share with you is a traditional or standard style of canvas. And this is commonly what I like to use. It's about 3/4 of an inch of a profile on the side. That means how deep the canvas is. And it's a flexible fabric. It actually is canvas that's been coated. And I just really like the way that these display. I like the framing options that come with them. So this is primarily what I use. The other option that I see many artists choose is a gallery wrapped style. And you can see the profile of the gallery wrapped style is a lot thicker than the one over here. And that's because the gallery wrapped style canvases are meant to be displayed a little bit differently. You can either attach hanging hardware on the back of the frame, right on the wooden bars, and put a little wire across or sawtooth at the top, and you can just hang it directly on the wall without using a frame at all. Or you can opt to use some kind of a frame called a floater frame, and I'll get to that in just a moment. While it's technically true that you can paint the outside edge of any canvas, the gallery wrapped canvas style is particularly designed with that in mind. So pay attention to that if it's something that interests you, or if it's something that you don't want to do. It's something to be aware of. The third kind of canvas that I often see students choose, and that is a canvas panel. And this is also that same canvas material that has been glued down onto some kind of cardboard backing. So it's really stiff. They're usually a little bit less expensive than the other two choices, and they can be framed in slimmer profile frames. So even like photo frames or poster frames, sometimes you can just take the cardboard backing out, pop this in, put down the little metal tabs that may be around the back of the frame, and you can be good to go. So this gives you maybe a quick and easy framing option if you'd like to use a canvas panel. Speaking of the frames, though, I want to address that. So this is what I would consider kind of a traditional plein air open back frame. And if you need any help seeing how to secure a canvas in a frame like this, you can watch my other YouTube video on framing. But for our purposes, I'm just going to slip this canvas in the back, and it really fits nicely in the groove. Let me take that out so you can just see that there is a depth here. There's a groove that the canvas needs to sit inside, and that is called the rabbet. So we snap the canvas in there, and you want to be aware that the frame is going to overlap the edges of the canvas a little bit. There's a lip around the frame that holds the canvas in place. So when you're painting anything on the canvas, you just want to be aware that whatever you paint on the very, very edges may get cut off. The biggest area of concern would possibly be your signature. I know I've made the mistake before of signing a painting too close to the edge and then putting it in the frame, and then my signature gets chopped off. So nobody wants that. So I would suggest that you plan a little space around your signature or any other very important elements of the painting so that you're totally safe. If there's overlap of the frame, then nothing's going to get cut off. If you're going to use a gallery wrapped canvas, it's not going to fit in here. Besides the fact that these two are different sizes, it's not going to fit in this depth of a rabbet. That's really way too shallow to hold something as thick as this. And yes, there are offset clips that can help make up for a little bit of sticking out, but this is going to be too much. So if you decide to use a frame for something like this, you want to either choose a frame that is specially cut to have an extra deep rabbet that can accommodate this extra profile of the canvas itself, or you may choose to get a floater frame. And these ideally also have a depth that matches your canvas. And the canvas would sit on the inside. Again, this canvas is not the right size for the frame, but this is what I had, and I think it will still demonstrate what we're going for here. But you can see that there is a gap between the canvas and the edge of the frame. Kind of looks like the frame is just surrounding the canvas and that the canvas is floating, hence the name floater frame. So we can use a frame like this to hold a gallery wrapped canvas. Like I said, ideally this frame would come out and be flush with the surface of the canvas. So if you choose to buy a floating frame or the other frame option as well. You just really want to pay attention to the depth and make sure you get something that's deep enough to hold this style of canvas. If, however, you want to go with a standard style canvas and you would like to use a floating frame, that's an option too. This one in particular is the appropriate depth for a standard size canvas. And so you can see that it's really flush right here. These two surfaces match nicely. So again, this is not the right size for this frame, but it still illustrates the point of how the canvas stays and how it looks floating in the frame. And finally, I mentioned with the gallery wrapped canvas that you could put hanging hardware on the back and just run a wire across and hang it with no frame. You can do that with a standard style canvas as well. However, I don't generally do that, except when I'm using these really little ones here. So like this one, I didn't hang a wire behind, but I did put this little metal hook there. And so it hangs nicely on a nail on a wall. And I did paint the sides all the way around so that if it does hang on the wall, it has a finished look. Well, I hope that addresses some of your questions about how to choose a canvas and how to then display those canvases. If you have any other questions or if you have any ideas, add them in the comments below. And thanks for watching. See you next time.